Welcome back to PYP Boxing. This is David De Leon along with Mark Salinas. Salute to all the boxing fans out there. Going to talk about the Shakur drama with Matchroom Boxing, or supposed drama. We're also going to talk about a boxing card set for July 12th in NYC, along with a huge fight happening this weekend in the United Kingdom. Let's get to it. On to some news that's made a lot of waves recently. It was first reported that Shakur Stevenson will not be promoted by Matchroom for his next fight. But according to the man himself, Eddie Hearn, the deal between Matchroom and Shakur Stevenson is still official, and Matchroom will be involved in his next fight.
We have a two-fight deal with Shakur Stevenson. I spoke to his team last night. I spoke to His Excellency, who I agreed the two-fight deal with. So, look, after July 12, I can't tell you what's going to happen. But what I know is we're involved with that show and that fight.
Mark, we haven't heard from Shakur on any of this yet, but Eddie Hearn's latest interview pretty much puts all those reports to rest. What are your thoughts on the news about Shakur and Matchroom?
Well, I was confused for about 48 hours there. And then finally, Eddie Hearn came out and said something, said all of that was just a bunch of shenanigans and fake news is what he called it. I was really concerned because it seemed pretty damn evil to me for Turkey and Shakur to be getting together and pushing Eddie Hearn out of a deal and making their own little deal here. And that just didn't sound right to me. So, I'm glad Eddie Hearn came out and cleared that up. But I feel like we need more information, man. I feel like maybe there is something there. There's a gray cloud hanging around this. I want more information. Time will tell. I love chisme, and I want to know the dirt. We haven't heard from Shakur or Turkey. Hopefully, when we hear from them, we get more chisme, man, because that's what we all want.
Yeah, there's definitely something fishy. Shakur loves posting on social media. He's not said one word about this at all on his accounts, or at least I haven't found anything recently. There's more than meets the eye, but as far as we know, everything's a go. Moving on to other news, Riyadh Season has put together another card for this summer on July 12th in NYC. Another solid card has been set up, headlined by Edgar Berlanga, who will be facing Hamza Shiraz. No word on the venue yet, but there is some speculation that this fight is not going to land at Barclays Center or MSG. Similar to the May 2nd card, which will be in Times Square, they're going to do something very different with this fight too. Steve Kim recently on their podcast with Mario Lopez said that it's going to be somewhere exotic. Chris Algieri has said that it might be taking place in Central Park. So definitely not your traditional venue that we expect for a fight like this. But the main event, which will be a 168-pound bout between Edgar Berlanga and Hamza Shiraz. Looking at the card, Mark, we have a pretty decent card here. There's about 4 main fights that are all interesting in their own way. The main event, as we said, was Berlanga Shiraz. We also have Shakur Stevenson facing William Cepeda as the co-main event. Then you have Alberto Puello facing Subriel Matias for the WBC 140-pound title. And David Morrell, former 168-pound champion, will fight Imam Katayev, a strong puncher out of Russia. How does this card sound to you?
I love this card. This card, you can tell, was well thought out, well put together. There's a bunch of great fights. You've got Berlanga Shiraz, Shakur Steven Cepeda. We've been waiting for that one for a real long time. We got a possible fight of the year candidate, Albert Puello and Subriel Matias. And you get David Morrell back. Rounding it out. So great card here. It was well thought out. It's one of the best cards this year.
Mark, I got a question for you. Some people are kind of already making a big deal about Shiraz and Berlanga being in the main event, and they're questioning why isn't Shakur Stevenson in the main event with Cepeda? Do you think there's any controversy with Shakur Stevenson being the co-main event on this card?
Yeah, and I may be alone on this one because I'm looking at Shiraz. Why did they make Shiraz the main event? He's not a big name, but he is Team Turkey. He is Team Turkey, and We all thought that Shakur Stevens was going to be the main event. None of these other fights had really been announced. We just knew it was going to be Shakur Stevens and Cepeda. So naturally, you think that is the main event. And then you hear Berlanga's the main event. So we're all thinking, why'd they move it, right? I don't like it. They're making Shiraz the main event for a reason. And I don't like that for Berlanga. It smells bad for Berlanga.
I kind of agree with you. We know that Turkey's backing Shiraz for obvious reasons, but I don't really see a problem with this being the main event. And let's not kid ourselves here. For all the talent that Shakur Stevenson has, the type of performances he's been having lately are not the type of performances you want to set up in your main event fight. So I get it. This is Shakur's time to prove that he can be a main event fighter. So let's let the cards fall down and see where they land. What's the most interesting fight to you on this card?
The fight that I'm most interested in is Alberto Puello versus Subriel Matias. Matias is not the boogeyman we think he is, and Alberto Puello will expose him. The way he will expose him is the way he took care of Gary Antoine Russell. Gary Antoine Russell was a very aggressive guy, and Alberto Puello and his team with Salas Boxing Gym came up with the perfect plan, meeting aggression with aggression, and you could see it. Alberto Puello was taking that first step towards his opponent, but mixing it up with his beautiful boxing combination and his boxing style. The only thing that worries me is that he's a little long in the tooth, David. If he makes an old man mistake and gets caught by Subriel, it may be over, or it may be a fight of the year candidate. I'm leaning towards it probably will be a fight of the year candidate. Alberto Puello does have world-class chin, but Subriel has world-class power. So we'll see if he even gets tagged like that. Alberto Puello is good at evading some, big punches, but he does like to mix it up. But he's got a way of avoiding big punches. I'm calling a unanimous decision. Maybe a possibility that he gets caught and it becomes a fight of the year candidate, but it's a fun fight. That's the one I'm hoping to watch.
For me, I think it's Stevenson versus Cepeda. It's the best fight that could be made at 135 pounds right now. I just see a lot of intrigue in here. You have the classic styles matchup between the boxer and the pressure fighter. I just see a lot of things that make this interesting. Some people are calling this an easy win for Stevenson. I'm not too sure about that. Shakur's hand issues being one of the reasons. Also, it took him 9 rounds to stop Josh Padley, and that was supposed to be a layup. I think this fight is a little bit closer than people realize. Cepeda does have a style that we haven't seen Shakur fight against as a pro. He has an amazing output, 80 to 90 punches a round. That's the type of output that's going to give any fighter, no matter how defensive they are, problems. Moving on to what may not be a big fight here in the U.S., but will be a huge fight for the U.K. boxing scene. The two sons of British boxing royalty will finally get a chance to throw some putazos, a fight that was years in the making since 2022. Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. are set to get it on this Saturday. The first fight was set for a catchweight of 157, but this time around, it will take place at 160. Conor Benn, for all intents and purposes, is a welterweight with a couple of fights at 154. Chris Eubank Jr. has mostly fought at 160, but has fought as high as 168. Will this be a mismatch? And if so, in favor of who?
Definite mismatch in favor of Eubanks, David. Eubanks is huge, man. Let's face it, Conor Benn is their welterweight. I think even if they had that fight at 156 years back, Eubanks would have still been, having the upper hand there. He's just too big of a guy.
I think someone is definitely going to have an advantage here. I'm just not sure who. Conor Benn is a short guy, but he's very muscular, and he does have to squeeze down to 147. But he hasn't shown the same power that he did at that weight. Chris Eubank Jr. is not known for his power punching, but he is kind of a slick boxer puncher. He has to boil down to 160, which he did in his last fight, and he looked fine, but he's 35 years old, and we all know the older you get, it doesn't get easier to cut weight. I'm going to go with Chris Eubank as well. I like Conor Benn. He's aggressive. He comes to fight. You're going to see a good fight when he's in there, but he'll be up against a bigger opponent, one who has the athleticism and experience to deal with his pressure. Mark, looking at the betting odds, Eubank is -160 in some sports books. That's close to even money. So this fight, it really could go either way. You can't go wrong with it. I think that the odds makers have it closer than we're looking at it. The biggest bummer about this fight, at least for the U.S. audience, is that you'll have to pay to watch it. It'll run you $25. And the card, which isn't too bad, it's a pretty good card, will begin at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The main event ring walks will start around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mark, am I the only guy in the U.S. that's actually looking forward to this fight? I'm starting to get more excited for it.
No, actually, there'll be one more buy. There'll be one more pay-per-view buy in East LA by Cholo Trucker, man. He loves him some Conor Benn.
Absolutely. Shout out to our guy, Cholo Trucker, and all the Tres Chingones. Yeah, I guess there'll be 2 U.S. buys, right? One on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. Hey, Cholo, let's split it, dude. I'll share my password with you, man. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode of PYP Boxing. Don't forget to drop a comment and tell us how you feel about the July 12th NYC card, and who do you have in this weekend's Benn versus Eubank Jr. card in the UK. As always, keep those hands up, and we'll see y'all next time. Enjoy the fights, guys.